In this video, you are going to learn 3 critical diagrams that can really help you to improve your game. And basically, my point here is to decrease your mistakes by 50%. These 3 diagrams are simply knowledgeable, and by the end of the video, you are definitely going to improve your level by 100%. So let's start. So we have the diagram number 1. It's black to play and black just play the move knight to g5. So try to take a pause the video and try to think how are you going to play in this position if you're playing with the white pieces. Okay, so after knight g5, many people think like, okay, if we are playing with the white pieces, why not to simply play f4? Because it looks like we are simply expanding on the king side, and the pawn structure also makes a bit symmetrical. And what we are thinking here is after f4, our opponent takes, we are going to take it back, the knight is attacked, the knight goes back, and we are already better. We can even try to push our e or the f pawn, and we are already better. But what we miss actually in these types of position here is, after f4, the opponent can simply capture the h3 pawn. The opponent captures it instantly, and now we try to think, oh no, we have already went wrong and it's already a bad move. We are already losing. We move the king, the opponent jumps in with the knight, attacking the queen. We have to move the queen up, and now it's already one movement. That's it. That's how we simply lose the game many times. So going back a bit, let's say, okay, f4 is a bad move. So many people think, okay, let me play the move simply h4. What's wrong with h4? We are pushing the pawn, attacking the knight. And what we think here is, okay, the knight goes back. And whenever, basically, if our opponent is putting the pieces on the 5th, 6th, basically on these ranks, like there is no harm to us, because opponent pieces is in his territory, not in our territory. So after h4, what we think here is, okay, the knight goes back and we are already pretty fine in this position, which is definitely true. White is extremely fine. But what we miss here is, what happens if black jumps in, like doing a counter attack? For example, h4, the opponent jumps in with the knight to g4, attacking the queen. The queen has to go back, and now simply knight to h2 check. This is exactly what we miss. We move the king, the queen gives a check. We move the king, it's already a mate. So this is exactly what our opponent is aiming on, and we simply fell for it. So we need to think precisely, not to make any mistakes, not to hang any piece. Like many times we go for counterattack, but counterattacks can go wrong if you do not think the position carefully. You must not hang any pieces. So in this position, if you try to think, g4 is the best move. Why? Because after g4, the opponent knight cannot jump any forward move. The h3 pawn is already protected by the queen. And the way for white to continue in this position could be to play king g2, knight g3 followed by knight f5, and white is already better. Like, not better, but it's an even position. White is already having no problems. So this is exactly how you should play. Try to think, like, first of all, how can you basically nullify your opponent's threats? And once you nullify your opponent's threats, you can start to generate your own counterplay, try to create your own ideas, own threats, and that's how you play chess. So this was the first diagram, so now let's move on to the second diagram. Okay, so we have the second diagram on the board. Black just played the move rook to f8, and now currently our knight is hanging up. How to play this position? Try to take the pause and try to think how are you going to continue the position if you're playing with the white pieces. Okay, so many people think is like, can we play rook a1? That looks a pretty fine move. Rook a1, we are defending the knight, and that makes a lot of sense. Because after rook a1, what we miss here is, the bishop can simply capture the rook. That's what's happening. We take it back, but we are already like losing position because black is already having 3 pawns for free. We simply miss that the bishop can capture the rook. And this is exactly what majority of the low players do. They simply miss what our opponent is covering the squares, basically. So what should be the correct way to play the position? Like, the knight is hanging, let's move the knight. That's it. That's how you simply escape from a threat. At the place of protecting the piece, just move the piece that is hanging. That's easy, yeah? Just move the knight. You move the knight, you are simply attacking the bishop. And for example, the black played the move bishop to f4, attacking the rook. So many people think, okay, now let me move my rook, attack the queen. But what they miss here is, you are losing the knight. That's not exactly how you play. If you move the rook over here, queen f4, black does a counter attack. And now you move the rook, you lose this rook. And if you put the rook on the dark square, the bishop captures the rook. So it's already losing, yeah? So here, what should what I try to see here is try to calculate some tactics. Like, I want to capture the bishop, but I can't because the knight is protecting the bishop. So can I capture the knight first, attacking the queen? So black captures it back and I can capture the bishop, and the position is already winning because I'm a piece up. That's how you play chess. So try to imagine the full board of chess. That's exactly how you should play chess. Like, at the place of saying rook a1, like, you must see that what is our opponent covering? What are the squares that opponent are covering? The bishop is a diagonal piece. So you should always see, like, is my piece hanging up? No? Okay, let me play this. That's how you play it. So this was the second diagram. So now let's move on to the third diagram. Okay, so we have the third diagram on our board. Black just played the move bishop to g4. It's white to play, try to think, and how are you going to continue the position if you are playing with the white pieces. Okay, so after bishop g4, it looks like black is simply pinning up the knight. If you thought of castling, yeah, that's a fine move, but okay. If you think h3, so after h3, what is happening? We are simply attacking the bishop. So bishop takes the knight. And what are you going to continue the position? Okay, many people think, okay, now let me capture the bishop. But guys, that's already a blunder. We have knight into c2. It's a check, and we are also losing the rook. That's already losing, right? So here, like, once we saw this, we try to think, okay, g into f3, we are already having a bad pawn structure. That's not exactly how you play chess. Queen into f3 is the best move. Yep. But here you are simply losing after knight into c2. So what white must do here is first play a3, attacking the knight goes back, and now we have h3, attacking the bishop. Bishop takes the knight now, and now we can take finally the bishop, because now the c2 is no longer hanging as the knight has went back. That's exactly how you do it, yeah? Many times we do not see the all 64 squares. What our eyes is fixed on is on this side of the board. What we think here is the bishop takes, we are going to take it back. But what we miss here is black is having his own threats. So that's exactly what's happening, yeah? So you should always try to keep your eyes open and try to see the complete 64 squares. Keep your idea and mind open, yeah? But what's interesting thing here is, like, many, like if you put this position on lead chess, it does show that, like, around, like, from 1000 games, 700 people went for queen into f3. They simply missed this simple knight into c2, because our mind and the brain is simply fixated on the area where the thing is happening. Like, the major thing is happening on the king side. Like, we are focusing on this part, but we simply missed what the opponent is seeing. The opponent is seeing all the 64 squares. So that's exactly what we miss, like, many of the times, generally. So you should always try to cover the whole squares, the whole 64 squares. If you try to do so, you're going to first see the move a3. Let me kick the knight, and now let me play h3. White is already better because white is having more space and his pieces are much more developed compared to the black pieces. And actually, one funny thing here is, like, you can actually take with the queen. Knight into c2, the king move, and now we have bishop b5 check, which is actually a very interesting position. If black plays c6, we can take, check. The knight goes back, we can take. Black can't take with the queen because he's losing the rook. Black has to take the bishop with the king, but now we give a check. The king goes back, we can check him, and we can also capture the rook. So this is already, like, a very interesting variation. And black can also go back with the knight. Now we jump in with the knight. What's our idea? Our idea is to play the move knight to c5. So black tries to play a6, attacking the bishop. We come in with the knight, threatening one movement. f6, and now we jump in with the knight, attacking the queen. The queen move, bishop goes back, and this is actually still better for black, but it's actually a very interesting position. So this is all part of calculation, I would say. Once your level, like, your calculation, your understanding becomes higher, you are eventually going to calculate all these stuff. But at the very common level, what you must understand here is, try to cover all 64 squares. Try to see what your opponent is threatening. According to that, make your choices, make your move. Yeah, it's basically like check, captures, threat. Yeah, you must first see what are the check, what are the captures. Opponent is like seeing the capture, and he can capture. That's the thing. And like the third part, here comes the threat. What are the threats that we can create? That's the exact idea of how to play chess. So these were the 3 critical diagrams that I believe can really help you master this game of chess and can really improve your 50% of the mistakes that generally happen at the very lower level. So if it did help you to improve your level, then make sure to like the video, share this video with everyone, and make sure to share this video with everyone so that many people get benefit with this video. And if you are new to our channel, make sure to subscribe to our channel. So I'm going to see you soon with new upcoming videos. If you have any doubts on any topic, make sure to tell me in the comment box below, and I'm going to come up with that particular video on. So thank you for watching, and I'm going to see you soon. So bye bye.